Hi friends, welcome to my Cozy Crafty Cabin. So it's day 5 of my One Sheet Wonder series where I've been taking one 12 by 12 sheet of paper and turning it into different no scrap projects. And you guys, I'm so excited to share today's project. Here's a little sneak peek and I'll walk you through a full tutorial. Okay, so I'm calling this like a stationery booklet or stationery holder. My intention was to store some of the cards and tags I've been making in a cute little booklet. So that's what I want to do with this. But you can use these for lots of things. So this is just a little template that I have. The booklet ends up being 5 by 6 inches. You have a 1-inch spine and you have these two pockets. One's 2 inches deep and one's 1.5 inches deep. So first things first, you're going to take your 12 by 12 piece of paper. Now if you have like a directional pattern paper like I'm using, you want to just pay attention to like what's the top and what's the bottom whenever we go and make our score lines, because then you want everything to be positioned how it's supposed to be. So with the top of your paper positioned on the left side in your scoreboard, you're going to make 3 score lines. So one at 6 inches, then at 8.5 inches, and last at 10.5 inches. Then you're going to rotate your paper so that the top is at the top in your scoreboard, and you're going to score at 1/2 inch, 5.5 inches, 6.5 inches, and 11.5 inches. So you're going to make 4 score lines on this side. So again, that's at 1/2 inch, 5.5 inches, 6.5 inches, and 11.5 inches. Now, you don't have to do this step, but this just helps me guide me when I go to make this cut later on. But I put my paper down where that 6-inch score line that we made at the beginning is going across. So left to right, it's going across our scoreboard. And then in between that 5.5 and 6.5 inch lines where we scored, I score down at 6 inches, but I go only up to the 6-inch score line that's going across the middle of the paper. I hope that makes sense. And then what I do next is I just fold down my paper on all of those score lines we just made. So with like the inside of the booklet, facing you, so I decided that the seashell pattern is going to be the inside of my booklet. You're going to fold up on that 6-inch line, and then you're going to fold down on the next score line, and then fold up for the final score line. I hope that makes sense. Once you've folded on all the score lines, now it's time to make some cuts. So you're basically going to want to make cuts on both the left and right side where the score lines meet each other at that 1/2 inch score line that's going up and down. So where they all meet, you're going to cut to that point, that 1/2 inch score line point. You don't want to go past it. And you want to cut at an angle. So what I like to do is just like fold my paper in half and cut out a quick little triangle. You're going to do this on both sides of the paper. So you'll have 3 cuts on the left side and right side, those little kind of triangle cutouts. Now next we're going to work in the middle of the paper. So where I made that additional score line that goes halfway down the paper, right in the middle at 6 inches, I'm cutting there. So but basically you just want to cut in the middle between that 5.5 and 6.5 inch score lines. And then we're going to do the same thing. So where these score lines on each of these sides intersect, we're going to make our angle cuts where they where those score lines intersect with each other. So you'll have those like triangle cutouts again, but this is going down the middle. And this is, we're making our pockets, right? And you want to remove a little bit of that bulk so that it folds nicer for you when you go to glue down your pockets. So you're going to make those angled cuts, you know, on each side, those, and you're going to do it twice where the square lines intersect. But then when you get to the ends where that like 6 inch score line is, you're just going to make one cut going across that score line to where it meets. So from like 6 inches to 5.5 and 6 inches to 6.5, if that makes sense. So after I just cut across on that score line, I also cut a little bit of an angle right below it so that it's easier to fold over my paper. Okay, so now we basically, I like to call them like tabs. We've created these tabs going up and down the sides of our booklets. And we're going to tuck in those tabs and add our adhesive or glue to basically get this assembled. Now, what's really important is when you're ready to, you know, glue down your paper, you just want to use a really strong adhesive. So I tend to prefer like double-sided tape over wet glue. So I'm using score tape because this is really, that's, you know, extra strong adhesive. You just don't want to use like when I did my templates, I used like my normal kind of double-sided tape, and it just wasn't strong enough to really like stay stuck down. Now listen, I'm very much a visual learner, so I'm sorry if my verbal instructions like are ever confusing or not clear, but here, just pay attention. Here is like where I added the adhesive on the tabs, because some of it is going to go like on the inside part of the paper and some of it's going to go on the like cover side of the paper. So like that first section, the top section of our booklet, you're going to put the adhesive on the inside of the paper, if that makes sense, and fold it down. But then the next part, you're going to put your adhesive on like the cover, what's going to be at the cover of your booklet, that side of the paper, and fold it over and glue it down. And then you're going to go back to doing it on the inside of the booklet. So you'll add your adhesive to like the inside pattern, and then just fold those over, those tabs. And then for the last one, you go back to you're going to add your adhesive to like the cover side of your paper, and then fold those over and glue it down. I hope that makes sense. Now the last step is gluing down that smaller pocket, like that flap, to the larger pocket. So when you fold those up, you're just going to add adhesive to the top part of that flap and then glue it down to the bottom part. So here is our booklet. You guys, I love this thing. I think it is so cute. Again, I'm very much a visual learner, so I'm really sorry if my, verbal instructions are just slacking. But yeah, I go ahead and add just a cut apart to the front of this booklet too. But yeah, I love the idea of storing like some cards and tags in these, but you can also put other things in them. Let me know what you would use them for. But yeah, thank you guys as always so much for watching. I've really been enjoying coming up with different one sheet wonder ideas to cut up, one sheet of paper and use every bit of it. I hope you've been enjoying the series. I'll have my playlist linked down in the description box below. But yeah, thank you so much. I hope you really like this project, and I'll see you soon for the next one. Bye.